Hello and welcome to the Crone Zone. I'm Lynn. It couldn't be more clear that we're in times of huge change at the moment. This is sort of very much written in the astrology and reinforced to the hilt by the cards. If I had a pound for every time I've drawn the Wheel of Fortune lately, I'd be a rich woman. And this is all about those big cycles of time. Obviously, we know that we're in a mini cycle of a new moon at the moment. But we're also on the brink of much bigger and long lasting transitions in our society, in our world. And much of this is upcoming. We have a new moon on the 5th. And in many ways, the new moon is a beginning point for things which will develop and we'll see much more fully at the full moon towards the end of July. I think it's the 25th of July, the full moon. And so things will come to fruition a little more. But this is a process we're entering which spans really decades, if not centuries. So, these are key times and very important times. But with the moon and the sun in the sign of Cancer, which is very much the great goddess energy, Mother Earth energy, the nurturing feminine. I want to focus particularly on the moon. Again, this great feminine symbol and body, and also on the planet Venus. So, this particular exploration that I'm doing is going to be looking at the divine feminine and also taking a look at how, just as the planets orbit and move in cycles, and we have the precession of the equinoxes and the great cycles of the Kali Yuga and all of these things. We have day, we have night, we have the seasons, we have this continual process of change and a circular process. It goes round. But I'd like to explore as well how we do exactly the same and how we spiritually, psychically, psychologically are in continuous processes of renewal and rebirth. So let's dive in and see where we go with this. So, the cosmic rhythms, patterns, the flows of energy inform us. We flow with them. We ebb and we flow. But our ego self, which is so important for us to function in this solid 3D world, we need a strong ego here. But one of the problems with the ego is that it likes to think it's a finished thing. It likes to think it doesn't like change. It likes to think it's set somehow in stone. It's not particularly into growing and changing because it can easily feel threatened by those things. In contrast, the spirit, the deeper part of ourselves, ebbs and flows, moves, is constantly flowing, ebbing, growing, cleansing, purifying, renewing, refining, coming back into being. It's a beautiful, continual process. And it completely mirrors the process that happens in the cosmos around us. Our ancestors were more tuned in than we tend to be to the turn of the seasons, to the movement of the moon and of the planets in the sky. These were tracked very closely. People didn't have all the other distractions around them, so we become aware of them. And perhaps as well be able to tune in and recognize the patterns within themselves. But this is one of the reasons why it can be so useful to us to tune into things like the time of the new moon. this time of a seeding, of a beginning, of setting intentions, of seeing in the larger world what might be being seeded at that time, and how, what kind of fruition that might come to, how that might develop. So let's look a little bit at the new moon. As I've said, the new moon is in the sign of Cancer. And I had an incredible pull of cards. I pulled 6 cards. I pulled 3 for the new moon and 3 for Venus, which I also want to look at. My deck was incredibly well shuffled and blended. Out of 6 cards, I drew 4 major arcana cards, instantly telling me that this is a really key, meaningful and pivotal, serious time here. There's some big forces in play here. This is kicking off, feeding into some pretty huge things to come. So the Wheel of Fortune was the first card that I got for the Cancer new moon. So this is change, the wheel turning, cycles moving, the mills of the Lord grinding slow but sure. Things are changing in our world, and we may not even recognize things 10 years time, from now. I also got the Judgment card. The time is now, really bingo. There's the big red flag. I'm also seeing this very much because I'm very much believe in the United Kingdom, but this is actually the flag of St. George of England. And I see this as, we have an election coming up on the 4th, the day before the moon. And, I think a big wake-up call here, a big clarion call, if you like. The time is now, X marks the spot. It really is the key, pivotal time. There's more in this card as well, I think, because we see the male, the female, and the child, the divine trinity. A deeper meaning, which I'll look into later, may also be, again, this thing that I return to again and again, because to me it seems to be the base of everything, is this melding of the feminine and masculine energies within ourselves, within our world, within our politics, within our everything, really. This coming together. And the last of the 3, so all 3 of the cards for the new moon were major arcana, is the Chariot, which is ruled by Cancer. So, the perfect sort of message here. Yes, it's all happening now. It's kicking off now. The Chariot, as I say, is the card, the Cancer card in the deck. It's also about the rubber hitting the road, things getting moving, getting the show on the road, and taking on challenges. Obviously, there are going to be challenges. This is not a Disney moon where everything's just perfect. There is challenge here too. So, and the cards, how could there not be challenge? How could there not be challenge, the Chariot 7, when we have the Wheel of Fortune and the Judgment card? You don't make major changes of this kind, these epoch-marking changes, without also having challenge. These things take time to be sorted. So those were the cards that I drew for the new moon in Cancer. And just a little more on the cards for the moon before I move away from them. So, of course, this card is ruled by Jupiter. So we have to think about the planet Jupiter a little bit with this as well. And Jupiter's moved into Gemini recently. So a shift of energies there. It's in an air sign, things moving quickly. Especially in all things to do with the mental realm. So that's quite an important thing. And of course, this card is Pluto, and Pluto has moved into Aquarius. It is back into Capricorn, I think, at the end of the towards the end of the year, end of October, November time. And then it's into Aquarius and it stays there for the foreseeable future. So that's another big shift. So they're both also, these cards, speaking to the planetary configurations, and they in themselves are speaking of change, change, change on a big scale. The moon and Venus are related in a very special relationship that I want to explore here a little bit. And as we said, they're both symbols of the divine feminine. And for us to move forward in a meaningful way and to create positive, balanced change in our world, as I have said and will probably continue to say, then it's this rebirthing of the feminine energy. So I want particularly to look at Venus for this, at what's been happening with Venus. In my last video, I talked about Venus going the far side of the sun, rather like the goddess Inanna, sinking into the underworld, and being there for quite a period of time. Now, Venus is now in the sign of Cancer, so she's very happy in the sign of Cancer. So she's moved from Gemini, where there was a lot of conversation, exploration, and discussion going on, moved into the sign of Cancer, very much about self-nurturing, self-love, and nurturing of others from an abundance of that. The other thing is that not long after this new moon, on the 10th of July, Venus will come out from the underworld. So she will be coming out from behind the sun and, as it were, rebirthing. We won't see her until, I think, around about the 23rd of July. Round about then, she'll become visible, because while she's with the sun, the brightness of the sun, even when she's emerging out from behind the sun, the brightness of being that near the sun obscures her, even though she is a beautifully bright body. But as she moves a little further from that, she will become visible, and she will be the evening star. There's much I want to say about that. It's a very magical process, and I will get down to that in a moment or two. But we see then that this new moon, and which is very feminine energy, but also then shortly after, this rebirthing of the planet Venus. We all have the divine feminine within us, whether we're male or female. And for all of us, this healing of this energy, this renewal of this energy is very, very important. Let me turn to the cards that I drew for Venus, and for Venus's rebirth, as it were, as the evening star. So this was the first card, and another major arcana. And I had to smile because all of the energy in the last video was going into Venus as Sekhmet, the lion energy. The Venus with the sun, this empowered Venus, this Sekhmet, this forceful melding, alchemy of male and female energies there. And of course, by the time we see Venus, which will be, around about 23rd July, we will be in the sign of Leo. And this card is ruled by, you guessed it, Leo. So again, the cards talking to me so clearly, you couldn't select them consciously any better than this. This is just, how they come out and how amazing this is. And we see here an alchemy of working the maiden and the lion together as this blending of the strength. So I think the message here is Sekhmet mustn't emerge tooth and claw here. That's not the energy we're wanting. We're wanting all the strength. This is the strength card. So let's hope this is the strengthening of that feminine energy, especially inside us, because we have been through one of those dips and the mini deaths that we go through. We will have felt this. I spoke about this in my last video, so if you've not watched that, it would be really useful to do so, to understand what I'm saying more fully. But we have definitely been into a void time. That in itself can have huge riches for us, but it cannot always feel comfortable going through that. It growing, exploring, developing, it's not always a comfy process. And here we are, though, coming out and coming out in a position of strength and building on that. Now, the other card that I drew was the Three of Wands. So this is, your things are in process. Your ships are coming in. So I think this is a message to us that much of the work that Venus was doing while she was with the sun, in it re-exploring values. Who am I? What do I care about? What matters to me? What is important to me? We're now seeing those ships sailing home, and we're beginning to understand, though, that work of that dark time of Venus is paying off for us. That is coming home for us in a good and positive way. So we can keep working with that and vision even more. And then the last card that I pulled for Venus, how beautiful is that? The Two of Cups. And again, this message of this alchemy of blending in harmony the energies of the masculine and the feminine, and our unique opportunity to work this magic inside us. And when we work this magic inside us, then that informs the collective of which we are all a part. So really good cards there for the Venus energy. So whilst the world, as evidenced by our moon cards, clearly is in some hurly-burly and turbulence, and I can't, whitewash that, it is. But there's a job for us here to be doing, and one that we can do, and one that we have already been doing while Venus has been with the sun, which is that reevaluation. Who am I? What do I want? What do I care about? What is meaningful? All of those things are now coming to be rebirthed as Venus rises as the evening star. We can certainly do this. This is a process that we can engage in. What I didn't say about this card, that I must add in, is that this is the red lion of alchemy. This is a highly alchemical card about transmutation, about changing up things to higher frequencies, turning dross into gold. So this again speaks to this internal alchemical process, and that we have the strength now. Venus is strengthened. She is capable, this energy of the feminine within us is capable of blending with the masculine and evolving and developing. So I couldn't leave without just making that point about this card. Let me return now to the magical relationship between Venus and the moon. During her time as evening star, Venus will be visible with the new crescent of the moon, which is a couple of days after new moon, remember, because we can't see the new moon. So it's the waxing crescent of the new moon will be in the sky, and Venus will be just below that crescent. So she will be visible with the crescent moon 7 times during her period as evening star. Okay, now 7 times represents the 7 chakras. So each time she is with the moon and visible in the sky with the moon is an opportunity. They're called the gates. If you remember in the story of Inanna, when she's the retrograde Venus descending to go behind the sun, Inanna shed a garment at each level, and the garments represented the chakras of the body. They were each coming from positions of the chakras of the body. So she sheds when she goes into the underworld. As she emerges out, it's a time to balance, renew, and restore each of the 7 chakras of the body as she rises as evening star. So we begin with the base chakra and work our way up the 7 over the months until we reach the crown chakra. And we completed that amazing ascent of Venus and ascent of our own feminine internal energies through the chakra system with her. I find that incredibly exciting. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to tune into those moments, fine tune ourselves to those cosmic cycles. And I shall certainly, at those times, be working on the chakra energies related to those moons, those 7 conjunctions with the moon that will happen in the evening star phase. Now, I shall do it anyway for myself because it's just too valuable and important and too healing not to take that journey. So I shall certainly be doing that, and I look forward to doing that personally. If you would like me, when the time comes, to post videos about those chakras and the Venus Moon conjunction, then let me know. I mean, Venus will be visible at those times. You'll be able to go out and see her, and also be thinking about renewing, healing, restoring, replenishing, rebirthing from the base up. So this is a wonderful opportunity for refreshment, renewal. So let me know if you're interested in posts that would connect to that. I would post ahead of time so that you'd have them in time for those meetings of Venus and the crescent new moon. Well, I think already I can feel an uplift in my internal energy, and I hope you can too. And I'm looking forward to this emergence. Venus should be visible, as I've said, from about the 23rd. She won't be with the moon then, because we're not far off the full moon then, but she will be visible in the sky. So hopefully we'll get a glimpse of her. So do let me know about the Venus Moon connection thing. And in the meantime, it brings me joy to have something that I can work with, but also something that helps me understand that I too, like the planetary cycles, I ebb, I flow, I renew, I restore, I die off, I shed, I replenish, I re-emerge. Anyway, thank you very much if you've watched this far, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. So goodbye for now.